Bonjour, bonjour. Ce matin, je me suis demandé si j'allais faire ma présentation en anglais ou en français. Si j'avais 3 heures, je le ferais en français, mais on a seulement 20 minutes, so we're going to do it in English. Apologize. I felt terrible that you had translator machines that you had to put on when you come in, but I make more sense in English than I do in French, so I hope it's worth it. As Sonia said, I'm Daniel Alegre. I'm president of retail shopping at Payments at Google. I've been at Google for a long time in internet years, actually a very long time in internet years, for 15 years. And during my 15 years at Google, I really have not seen the pace of innovation, but also consumer adoption of technologies as we're seeing now. And technology really is changing people's lives in so many different ways, but also their expectations. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. So the other day, I got onto my phone, and I came across this picture in my Google Photos. And that's my daughter, Claire. She's 5 years old. And I asked my wife, I said, when did you get a professional photographer take this picture of Claire? She said, no, actually, I have no idea what it is. So I turned to the usual suspects, my son Alexander, who's 7, and my son Daniel, who's 8. And they said, well, it was us. They got hold of my phone, they took a picture of my daughter, and with the editing tools of Google Photos, they were able to create a really beautiful, beautiful picture. It's actually spectacular. And you think that little kids, 7, 8 years old, are interacting with technology so seamlessly. This is happening across the entire world and across all ages. So when I was in San Francisco getting ready to come to the airport to fly to Europe, I was running late. I had to write some emails, so I was in the back of a taxi, and I realized that I hadn't checked into my flight. So what I did, using Google Voice, I called the Google Assistant, and with voice, I was able to check into my flight seamlessly and effortlessly. Now, had it not worked, I probably would have gotten late to the airport, and they wouldn't have allowed me to check in. But it worked, and it worked seamlessly. And that's now my normal, my expectation. Then when I got on the plane, I was supposed to meet someone when I landed in Paris, and I forgot to respond, I will meet you there. And you get that horrible message that you get from the flight attendants to say, sir, please close your computer and please turn your phone on airplane mode. So I knew I had maybe a second, maybe 2 seconds to respond to that email. Well, with machine learning and AI capabilities, on Gmail, the autocomplete and auto-suggest suggested a response for me that was actually a full sentence. Looked at it, hit send, was able to respond. So these are the ways that technology is really infiltrating into every people's lives day in, day out, from my kids to my everyday interactions. Well, what does that mean? What does that mean for consumers, and what does that mean for retailers in particular? We've seen a tremendous increase in personal data and personal searches, a 3 times growth in searches that we see at Google for Open Now or Near Me. That used to be 2 times growth last year. Now it's 3 times growth. And actually in France, the number is even higher. It's actually 4 times growth. 59% of users expect shipping and billing information to be remembered. You know, it's a horrible experience when you land on a website and you decide on the product and you're very happy and you're ready to check out, and then they ask you for your billing information and your address, and is your address different from your billing information and your credit card? Well, consumers are expecting that to be much more seamless nowadays. And then 58% want promotions that are specifically tailored to them. Now, you remember the good old days when you used to get this big catalog and you have to flip through the catalog and see what offers were pertinent to you? Well, the consumer's not expecting that anymore. The consumer says, I want you to reach out to me. I want you to offer me promotions, but I want the promotions to be tailored to me. And if I get a promotion that is not relevant to me, you're bothering me, please go away. So personalization is deeply, deeply important in the consumer journeys. So at Google, the way we think about connection to the consumer is really across 3 different points. 1, how do you connect? Connect with customers at scale. You know, we're a company that is a scale company because we have access and interactions with billions of users across the world. 2nd, driving action. How do you make a transaction as easy and as seamless as possible for a consumer to buy? And lastly, accelerate. How do you put in tools into your organization to harness the power of your data and make it work for you and make you much closer and much more relevant to the consumer? So I want to share a few examples of how we're doing this. What we did last year, we embarked on a Clickstream study where we had an opt-in panel of users. And we really want to understand how consumers were interacting with information and what the consumer journeys look like. So you hear a lot the term the purchasing funnel, the upper funnel and the lower funnel. Well, what we realized from this Clickstream study is that it's really not a funnel. It's kind of like a zigzag or a triangle, where a user comes in and out, goes up the funnel, down the funnel, ready, up and down, left and right. It's really not a funnel. And it's imperative to understand how the consumer is going through their various journeys. So here's an example. This is Sophie. Actually, her real name is Amanda, but I was told that Sophie is a more relevant name here in France, so I'll call her Sophie. A 25-year-old woman, and she has a problem. Sophie has a problem. Her skin is very sensitive to the makeup that she's using. And she says, okay, I need to solve this problem. And she's trying to find the right creams to put on her face that can actually solve it. Now, in the past, she would go to magazines and read magazines, or she may go to a store and ask a clerk, saying, look, I'm having this problem, what should I do? Well, that's no longer what she does. So this is a real-life example. Sophie embarked on a 2-month journey and went over 100 touch points, in and out, through search, through video, through images, before she realized what it was that she wanted. So let's dive into her journey. Sophie, the first thing she did, she went on to Google search, and that's when we saw her. And she did searches for things like, what brands of makeup are hypoallergenic? What is the best foundation for sensitive skin? Now, she's doing a relatively straightforward search. Now, she's not aware of the complications of what she just input for us at Google, because we had to go through millions and millions and millions of websites to find the information that was relevant to her in a matter of nanoseconds. Well, this is what Google does really well. But her expectation was that Google has to deliver it personal and specific to her and to her specific needs. It's a computational problem that we're solving for more and more. But the expectation is speed and convenience is what the consumer wants. And next slide, please. There we go. So what do we see? This is some of the data points that we're actually seeing in our query streams. We've seen 140% increase in searches for foundation for dry skin, sensitive skin, oily skin. We've seen 150% increase in the growth on mobile for searches ending with products to avoid, ingredients, makeup brands to avoid, certain things to avoid. And we've seen a 60% increase in mobile searches for things that are relevant to me, organic products for me, night cream for me. So what is happening? The consumer is interacting in a deep, personal way with information, saying, I don't want a mass communication. I want it specific for me. So she went on to search. She started refining her search. And then she went onto video. And video is an incredible discovery platform. Over 90% of people say they discover brands and products on YouTube. And more than half of the shoppers say that online video has helped them to decide what to buy. It's not surprising. And one area where this is growing even more is in beauty. So what did Sophie do? She turned to YouTube and she asked, how do you apply makeup for a natural look? Now, what we now understand, that seems like a relatively straightforward query. But we also knew that Sophie had sensitive skin because of her previous queries on search. So we could refine the video that we were serving up for her, a natural look for people who have very sensitive skin. Even though she was not telling us that, we could intuitively know that based on her query stream. It's bringing the power of machine learning to a deeply personal response. So Sephora, and I apologize, I'm going to use a number of examples here from the United States. Sephora has really leveraged this in the United States, a beauty company that I'm sure you've all heard about. People come onto YouTube for how-to videos, how to build a home, how to build a doghouse, how to install a TV. And obviously for beauty searches, how do you put on cream? How do you put on makeup? What's the best makeup to use? And we've seen over 81 million how-to related beauty searches on YouTube just in the last year alone. So what Sephora did is they created a lot of really rich content. And they partnered with a Google hardware team so that through the Google Assistant, you can invoke the Sephora content. And you can say, what kind of makeup should I wear? And Sephora content was right there, front and center. That's a deep collaboration between the Google hardware, obviously YouTube, and Sephora, bringing Sephora's brand front and center and being right there in the consideration set when Sophie was looking for the right product. So I gave you this example of Sophie, and you're saying, well, that's not normal. 2 months, 100-day touch points. 100 touch points. But the reality is this is actually more and more common. In that Clickstream study that I mentioned, these are some other examples that we pulled out. There was a person who was looking for a kind of cream, a night cream to use. 55 days, over 120 touch points. There was another person who was looking for a dress. Took 50 days and over 100 touch points. And something like headphones that you think is relatively straightforward. Said, I just want headphones, sound canceling or not sound canceling. You think it maybe take a day or two. 34 days, 35 touch points. So with so many touch points and so many opportunities to interact with a consumer, how can you meet your customers' expectations wherever they are? And that's what I'm going to touch on now. People are turning not only to Google Search and to YouTube, but they're also turning to Google Images more and more. 50% of online shoppers said images of a product inspire them to purchase. It's a great opportunity to interact with a consumer. And over a quarter of the searches on Google Images have a very, very strong shopping intent. You can imagine when you actually look for a red dress on Google Images, you're probably looking for a red dress and you're ready to shop. So 2 years ago, we launched on Google Search showcase shopping ads, and that shows lifestyle and merchandising imagery within a single ad unit. And now we've ported that over to Google Images, making that interaction with the brand much, much simpler. And in the US, we've taken it one step further. And I just announced 2 weeks ago shoppable ads on Google Images that lets you identify, based on an image, the various products that are available and purchase the individual products in your ad unit specifically. It's making the transaction much easier and helping you connect with your users. Now, for brands and manufacturers, it's also incredibly important to make sure that your content is as rich and as robust as possible. And this is an example of L'Oreal using the Google Manufacturer Center. And they've uploaded all their rich content so that whenever a consumer interacts with Google information across our multiple touch points, it can actually get the right L'Oreal content, whether it's directly through L'Oreal or through retailers who harness the information from L'Oreal. It's absolutely important to get the right imagery and the right content because the consumers are looking for your information, and Google Manufacturer Center makes that available. Great way to connect. So let's go back to Sophie. Talking a lot about Sophie. I hope she didn't mind it. She went on to search, went on to YouTube, went through her entire journey. And for the next 2 months, we saw her consideration set expand and contract. And finally, Sophie realized what she needs. She needed makeup that did not have any aluminum, because aluminum was actually the source of the problem to the sensitivity of her skin. And she found the right brand. It's a cosmetics company called Fresh. So 2 months, takes her time doing her research. But now that she's realized what it is that she's looking for, she wants it, and she wants it now. And that's just absolutely imperative to be able to react on time. And on top of that, Sophie had just had a birthday, and she's trying to find a retailer that will give her birthday points or loyalty points. So now that she's decided on the product she wants to buy, and you need to figure out how you get that information of that product availability as quickly as possible, because she wants it now. 70% of smartphone users are more likely to purchase from companies that customize information to their location. It's not surprising, like store hours and inventory. Half of all shoppers say they confirm inventory before going to the store. Again, not surprising. Very different from how consumers used to be 5 years ago. Now, before they go into the store, they come armed with information, they know the product they're looking for, and they want to know that the product is available there. This number is actually higher in France. 60% of French shoppers confirm inventory before going to the store. And half of all shoppers say they purchase elsewhere because information just wasn't customized to their current mobile situation. So consumers expecting no friction and understanding of where the inventory is available to wherever they want it. And this is an example of a retailer, French retailer, But. And what they've done is they leveraged LIA, the local inventory ads of Google, which lets But source and put right in front of the consumer information of where the inventory is available in their stores so that the consumer can actually go to it. And as a result of leveraging LIA, they had 3 incredible results. Store visit costs were divided by 3 versus a regular shopping campaign. Store visit rates were 35% higher, and their cost per click were divided by 2. All this is just bringing information that they already had in their database, bringing it forward, and tremendous results, and obviously much higher consumer satisfaction. And this is what I am really excited about announcing. So we talk about frictionless experience. Well, the consumer also wants to be able to transact as quickly and as seamlessly as possible. And that's why I am so excited that we're announcing today the launch of Shopping Actions in France. Shopping Actions allows users to interact with retailer and retailer brands seamlessly and quickly. It's allowing retailers to surface their content across Google properties, like Google Shopping, and we'll make it available also on the Google Assistant. And logged-in French users will see this, the acheter avec Google, recognizable by blue Google tag. And what does it mean for Sophie? It means she can now shop from her favorite retailers and her favorite merchants with Google when she is ready in her journey. Easy and seamless. And what are the benefits of this? Well, you see, we're reconfiguring the Google Shopping experience to make it deeply personal based on Sophie's intent and what we know about Sophie, but also bringing the merchant brand front and center. What does Google Shopping Actions do? Delivers a frictionless user experience. We leverage Google Pay and Google Identity so that once the user knows the product and they've identified the retailer they're looking for, they're 1 or 2 clicks away from purchase. Helps you acquire new users. Google is an incredible source of funnel of users, Sophies and the like, who are looking for brands, looking for retailers, looking for information, and we help those retailers and merchants connect with our user base. And lastly, be at the cutting edge of innovation. We spend billions of dollars in machine learning, engineering, and product innovation and UX design to bring this to life. And we're making this available to all our partners, whether it's the Google Assistant, shopping, personal experiences. That's what Google brings to the ecosystem, and that's what Shopping Actions is making go live. And we announced a few months ago partners that have signed on to Shopping Actions. We're so excited to have Auchan, Boulanger, Carrefour, Fnac Darty, and Lengao as partners. But we also have a whole host of other partners that we've signed up and we're announcing, and we will be growing the number of merchants. In the end, Shopping Actions is about partnering with large and small retailers and merchants across the board. We want to make this retail ecosystem live and vibrant, and we also want to work with technology platform providers to enable a seamless experience for consumers. We're very, very excited about these partnerships. So now we've talked about connection and drive to action. Lastly, I want to talk about accelerate. How do you create experiences that can scale, that can leverage the data that you have in your organization and bring it to life? And that's where the Google Cloud comes in, and AI and machine learning. We have an army of engineers, data scientists that are harnessing the computing capabilities that Google has to provide a really incredibly differentiated, personalized experience for consumers. And we make that available to all our partners through the Google Cloud. 6 out of the 10 top retailers are actually cloud partner and cloud customers of ours. And what we care about is bringing all your data sets together to create a single view of the customer. And above all, how do you protect your most sensitive data? Because we care and we are intensely focused on security and compliance. That's what the Google Cloud can really do. Whether it's pricing, merchandising, assortment planning, back-end logistics and fulfillment, getting the product to the consumer at the right time is what the Google Cloud will enable. And in the end, what we want is we want to make sure that someone like Sophie gets the product she wants at the time that she wants from the method of distribution that she wants. And through the power of machine learning and the Google Cloud, we can make that happen for your enterprise. And I'm going to give you an example that is one of my favorite examples. This is from a grocer in the UK, Ocado, that's also been present here in France. So you look at this picture, and you say, looks good, right? This is an online order that was placed, and the order was about to be sent to the consumer. And to the naked eye, everything looks great, and you wouldn't think there's anything wrong. But there's actually something really, really wrong with this order. And the only way you would have been able to figure out was if you actually had an individual go in and look through the basket, or leveraging the Google Cloud and the machine learning capabilities, you can identify what the problem is. And the problem is that the eggs are damaged. And you wouldn't notice it. But through our intuitive data analysis, we could see that the eggs are damaged. Now imagine what would have happened had Ocado not caught this. What would have happened is they would have sent it out. Consumer would have received it. They probably needed those eggs for whatever they were cooking that night. You get an upset customer. They send it back. Ocado has to then go off and rectify the order. Well, by capturing the problem very early on, they secure their NPS with the customer. Customer gets happy. They have eggs that weren't broken, and also reduce their costs and their operating costs. This is the power of machine learning, and this is what Google actually can bring to the overall ecosystem. And I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Target. It's one of our closest partners in the United States. And Target is really leveraging everything that Google can bring to the table. They use Google Pay to enable frictionless payment in their stores. They leverage the Google Cloud to understand their data and organize it in a way that can be delivered much, much, much better. But they've also done something that I think is really interesting. Through the partnership with the Google hardware team and our shopping team, users can now link their accounts, so their Target accounts, to the Google accounts. And when a user comes onto Google, the user has now sent us a signal, and they say, I prefer Target. Target is my preferred retailer. So when we source up and we serve up information to the consumer, we prioritize Target. And then we can actually identify how Target knows about the user and what Google knows about the user to provide a much more seamless experience. And with the Google hardware device, you buy it in store, you bring it home, you set it up, you link your account, and you're ready to go. And the results are spectacular. Through account linking, Target customers spent more each month, Target loves that, checked out with higher value basket sizes, Target loved that, and shopped in many more categories than they would have otherwise. This is the power of partnership that Google is bringing to the retail ecosystem. So in closing, we really want to partner with retailers and merchants and manufacturers of all sizes. We care about a vibrant ecosystem. Now, understanding the future of retail isn't about wrapping your head around the latest trends in 5G or AR and VR. It's about understanding how all these things come together. And Google is in the business of understanding data and make it useful and universally accessible, not only to consumers, but to our retail partners. And we're so excited to be part of this journey. We want to make Sophie happy, but we're also in the business of making retailers successful and useful. So thank you so very much. And now I'd like to introduce François Loviton, who is the president of brands and retail in France, who will lead a very important panel. But thank you very much for your attention. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Daniel.